What's going on? My name's Matt. I've been in the power sports industry for almost 5 years. Let's talk about Arai helmet shapes. So I mostly do dual sport and off-road, so these are my two primary helmets, but I am going to cover all of their street helmets today too. So this includes the Corsair, the Signet, the Quantum, the Contour, and the Regent. All these helmets have a slightly different shape, and I'm going to give you some tips to help you figure out which one's going to work best for you. So the easiest way to figure out what head shape you are and which one's going to work for you is actually just starting off with one of their intermediate helmets. So this would be the Contour or the Regent. And the reason I say this is because based on where the hot spots are, you can kind of figure out what you need. If I'm really unsure by looking at somebody's head, I've been fitting helmets long enough, I can usually look at somebody's head and kind of know which one they're gonna need. But if I'm really unsure, I start them in the intermediate, and then we size them down until they start feeling some pressure points. Now, it doesn't have to be like an aggressive pressure point, but what I mean by that is like, I'm a long oval, right? So if I put my head in a Regent helmet, or a Contour, which is more of an intermediate, I start getting pressure building on the forehead. So if you start in an intermediate shell and you start feeling that pressure building on the forehead when you go down to a size that's snug and feels like it has your head, that's usually going to be a very good indication that you need a long oval shape. The Signet is going to be your long oval helmet. The Corsair is kind of in the middle of a Signet and a Contour region. They kind of extended a little bit in the American markets front to back, but it's not your full long oval. So for somebody like me who's kind of more on the lines of long oval, but kind of sitting a little bit in between intermediate long oval, a Corsair would work really well for me. The Signet is going to be your true long oval, and the Corsair kind of going to be a blend of the two. Now, if you get the Corsair overseas, a European version that's not called the Corsair, they shape that differently than they do in the States. So it's not going to fit the same as if you bought a Corsair-X. If you start in that intermediate helmet, you get the opposite effect. So let's say you put that Regent on, you put that Contour helmet on, and you start getting pressure points on the side. That typically means you have a wide oval head, and you probably need to go to a helmet like a Quantum. Or sometimes the interior has some pads you can remove to make that helmet a little bit wider inside. These helmets are really good examples of that. Both the interior of the VX Pro 4 and the XD5 have tear-off foams on the crown interior that you can take out. If you want to learn more about that, please go watch my video called XD4 versus XD5. It's all about fitment and what you might need to change on this to accommodate different head shapes. But yeah, so start with the intermediate helmet, either the Contour or the Regent, and start seeing where the pressure builds up when you go down your sides. If it's on the forehead and the back of the head, probably long oval. On the sides of the head, probably going to be a round oval. If you don't get any pressure points, it feels very even around the crown, then you're pretty much going to know that you're an intermediate. The other thing you want to look for are gaps. You can't see gaps with round oval heads as much because you're filling the sides. It's harder to see gaps here and here. But long ovals, when they put them in intermediate shell, you usually see some gaps right here. So yeah, intermediate oval across the industry is very vague. There's so many variations of it, and a lot of them sit closer to round oval, a lot of them sit closer to long oval, and they're all just called intermediate. But if you really want to figure out your head shape, I think one of the best ways to do it is to go to an Arai dealer and start with that intermediate, size down, see where the pressure points build up. Now, these particular helmets are more of an intermediate shape, but you can modify them. Like I said, go check out my video on the XD4 versus XD5. But this is intermediate. You can remove a pad to make it more long oval. This is more like the Corsair fit. It's like between the intermediate and long oval, so it kind of works for both. There are some people who are true long oval or like much wider that these helmets don't fit for, but they did a really good job making sure that these fit generally everybody with some adjustments, whether it's interior swap, removing some foam tear-offs and things like that. Just a quick recap, Corsair, kind of a blend of intermediate and long oval. Signet, that's a true long oval. Quantum, that's a round oval. Contour, Regent, those are both going to be intermediate ovals. And based on your head shape, you're going to want to get that right. You want to get the helmet that fits closest to your head shape. If you want to learn more about why that's so important, please go watch my video called Beyond DOT, ECE, and Snell, What Makes a Motorcycle Helmet Safe. Thank you for watching. If you like this content, be sure to hit subscribe and make sure you hit that notification bell as well. If you have any questions or concerns, leave a comment below. I always try my best to get back to everybody. That's all I got for today. I'll see you next week.